Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey everybody, this is Alex Bennett, host of the Ramble, heard here and seen here on GabNet, Tuesday through Fridays, live at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and I got some big news for you. Our program has moved its live video from Facebook Live to YouTube Live. After extensive tests in our GabNet laboratories of at least 10 minutes, our mind was made up and we've come to the conclusion that YouTube is superior not only in video quality but audio as well. And then there's the ease of watching it. Here's what you do. Simply point your browser to youtube.com/Bolo Bennett/live. That's youtube.com/Bolo Bennett, BOLOBENNETT/live, and you're there. The player is waiting, and you do nothing, and when the show begins, so does the player. Couldn't be simpler. In fact, tag that page as a permanent tab on your browser, and you're ready to go. And if all of this is too vexing for you, well, just go to gabnet.net near showtime, and the player in the middle of the page will start to play when we're on. We're thrilled with the new quality our move has provided, and while you're there, would you do me a favor and please subscribe to our channel? No, I beg you to. Hey, listen to me, I'm groveling, okay? I know, it's pathetic. I'm sorry, I'm debasing myself, and I really shouldn't be. Please.
You love GabNet. You love the hosts and the citizen panels. In fact, you wish you could take them wherever you go. On your computer, log on to gabnet.net, where our stream is available around the clock. On your TV, GabNet is available on Roku with the same around-the-clock stream, plus all the latest episodes of GabNet programs, old favorites, videos, and tons of celebrity interviews. When you're mobile, we're on your iPhone or iPad with podcasts accessible via iTunes or Stitcher, and that same around-the-clock stream on TuneIn. If you don't want GabNet wherever you go, well, the hell with you. Go ahead, listen to your old-fashioned talk shows that do things in the same old predictable way. Meanwhile, the rest of us will be having fun listening to talk like you've never heard it before on GabNet. Spotify has 180 million monthly users and access to 35 million songs and podcasts. Now, all those offerings are going to have to move over and make room for GabNet programming. Yes, at long last, Alex Bennett's Ramble, Damian Chaplin's Exchange, Jack Bishop's The Intersection, and even the franchise MC's Arena and Michael Snyder's weekly movie reviews will be fighting for space on this massive platform. Each day, the programs are updated, so you can hear them on the Spotify app, available for all smartphones and game consoles. Or you can just go to Spotify on the web at spotify.com. So, give us a shot on Spotify. There's a 35 million to 5 chance we'll get people to listen to talk like they've never heard it before. Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey everybody, this is Alex Bennett. This is the Ramble. It wanders on until about midnight tonight on the East Coast of the United States and all over the world. But it happens to be 10 o'clock Eastern Time, and we're very prejudiced to that time, okay? Hey, I'm Alex Bennett, and we got a guest, as we do every now and then. We love this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown is with us. Hello, Larry.
Hello, Alex.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm on fire.
Oh, I'm on fire.
Got to be positive.
Yeah, got to be positive. Got to think of things positively. Do you have anything positive that you can say?
Yes. Let's see. It'll all be over soon.
Mm-mm. Very good, Bubs. I'm happy
The nightmare will be over.
Yeah. Soon it will all be gone. You know, I have this great fear of death. But I was watching something, and I can't remember what it was, in which somebody was saying that I'm glad that I'll be happy when I'm dead because I'm sick and tired of all the problems that life presents.
Oh, I like that.
And I thought, well, that's a way of looking at it. You know, there's a relief. There's at least a relief from that. You know, like I'm currently having problems with Skype. Because they went to a new Skype, and I can't use the new Skype for my shows easily. All right? I can use it, but I can't use it easily, and I may have to stop doing what we call the citizen panels if I can't solve all my problems. And that has just been consuming me constantly. And I always worry about every little thing that happens, and I'm thinking, hey, if I was dead, none of this would matter. So maybe if I live long enough and I get enough aches and pains, I'm going to think of death as being a welcome relief from something. You know.
Yes, nothingness will be better than this hell we're in now.
You see, thank you, Bubs, and thanks everybody for tuning in to another episode of Life Sucks with Larry and Alex. And I really have nothing to complain about. I've had a pretty good life, you know. I can't complain about it. So
yes, but as you get older, it just seems like every day is a new pain. Or
you know, I got to tell you a story. I had you know, in your life, you have people that were important to your life that created a certain importance to what was happening with you. And so and people who shoved you in a direction. Does any of this make sense?
Yes.
You know, that you met up with that kind of helped push you in the direction you were going to go. And we all have those people, but we forget them. And then I was reminded of one of them by David Farrell over at the Bay Area Radio Archives. Who there was this radio station in San Francisco that I used to listen to when I was a kid that became a big sensation called KOBY. It was the first top 40 station in San Francisco. And on that station was a guy named Ted Randall. And when I was starting out in radio, I sought out Ted Randall, and he met with me at his office and gave me some advice and kind of pushed me in the right direction, and I think helped me get a job at KLAD in Klamath Falls, Oregon. But, you know, over the years, you forget that incident, you forget that part of your life, and you don't, you know, I think of certain people who I listened to who were an influence on my career, and people that I admired, and who maybe I bumped into that said something nice to me, like Don Sherwood, who was the biggest radio star San Francisco ever saw, okay? I wrote him and said, can I come down and watch your show? And he said, sure, kid. And I went down and watched him for a whole day. And that was an influence on me.
Oh, yeah.
But I had forgotten about Ted Randall until the name Ted Randall was brought up by my friend over at the Bay Area Radio Archives. And so I got a hold of Ted Randall. He's still alive. He's 92 years old. And he's living in Canada. So I did an interview with him, which we have probably already broadcast on the podcast on the Ramble, and I got to talk to him. And what the main reason I wanted to call him and talk to him was to say thank you, because he sat down with me and he gave me advice, and he gave me a piece of advice which was in the interview that I remember forever. And so there are people who you kind of forget, but were a nudge for you in the right direction. Now, my question to you is, as a comedian, was there anybody like that for you?
Robin, yeah. early. I think I had been doing comedy 3 months. I was at some open mic, and when you start out, it's pretty terrifying. And I had a pretty good set late night at the zoo, and he came over to me and just said, because up until then he'd seen me.
By the way, let's tell people the zoo is the Holy City Zoo, which was a club, a very small club, so small that if you wanted to go in and change your mind, you had to leave the club. Yeah. But go ahead.
So he had seen me a couple times before. It was right after Reagan got shot, and he'd pass me and go, "Good evening, Mr. Hinckley." So to this day, I don't know if I either look like John Hinckley or he just found me creepy like Hinckley. But then I had this set that went pretty well late one night, and Robin came up to me and said, "That was amazing. I'll never call you Mr. Hinckley again." So I just thought, wow, that just gave me the impetus to keep going. Because, wow, he thought I was funny, He's an icon.
Well, for a kid starting out in the business, that had to be...
Oh, it was huge, yeah.
It was huge, yeah. Anybody we wouldn't know that kind of guided you, that kind of gave you a push at all?
There was a comic, Rich Marks, who was on the scene here, one of the first people I talked to, and he just kind of gave me some advice. Anything is helpful when you're starting out, and he just, because I was going to do they had an open mic at the Punchline. He goes, no, you don't want to start there. It's too big. Go to the Holy City Zoo. That's where you should start out.
Well, it was great in those days. You had a club like the Holy City Zoo in which almost anybody could go on stage, right? I mean, that was the the policy.
On Tuesday night, you would come in and sign up, and if you signed up, you got on, and they went till 2 a.m, and they guaranteed you get on, and you did.
Yeah, and that was a great training ground. I mean, do we have those training grounds anymore?
No, like the Punchline to get on now, you have to go down there, and it'll be like 9 months before you'll get on, but you have to come down and hang out and. So it's if you're getting into comedy now, it's horrible from what I hear.
Yeah. I mean, today, would you know how to get into comedy?
I don't think so, because there's so many people. There's a sea of people trying to get into it. So the odds were never good. Now they're just horrible.
You know what I always revered the stand-up comic. The pure stand-up comic. You fall into that class, all right, of the pure stand-up comic. And the reason I liked them was because they had no other reason to get on stage but to make people laugh.
Yeah.
I always hated the people who went out, built a comedy act, maybe even bought it in many cases, so they could get recognized and then go down to Hollywood and get a series. And then they never did.
That was very common in the 80s. Yeah, you would buy... Because in L.A. you would never do more than 20 minutes, so you'd try to get this little bullshit 20-minute act together, and you were going down there to be seen to get into acting.
And some people even bought their act.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they would get seen, and then they would get a series, and then they never went on stage again.
No. That's what I think is what I liked about Robin. Would go out and do movies, and when he was done with the movie, he would come back to San Francisco and just hit every club he could, and he'd love stand-up.
Well, I think the same is true. For instance, Seinfeld's a good example of that. Seinfeld probably, he's often said that he hated doing the television show, but he realized that was a means to an end. But he loves stand-up. He will never give up stand-up, and he keeps doing stand-up. And he's a great stand-up, but he loves stand-up, and I appreciate that because it's an art in and of itself and should not be used as a stepping stone to movies or TV shows or whatever. Because once you get to that, a lot of these people just go, "Okay, I'm out of the business of being a stand-up." Right.
Seinfeld, I've really become to like him a lot, and he had one of my favorite quotes in the '80s was because a lot of the comics I knew was they were saying they wanted to get into acting. They say, "I want to be doing stand-up when I'm 50. I don't want to be doing this when I'm 50." And I heard Jerry Seinfeld say, "This is exactly what I want to be doing when I'm 50."
Yes, and he was very good at he was terrific. He was maybe I think one of the best stand-ups ever.
Well, he's got that obsessive quality about trying to find the perfect joke. He works so hard at it.
Yeah. But also, he did the show called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And what people don't realize, what those shows were was an excuse to riff. When a bunch of comics get together, what do? They play with each other. They riff. They try to top each other. And, the conversation... It's strange. Conversation between two comics isn't really conversation of a normal quality. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
It's like you say something, and then the other guy tries to top that, and then you say something to top that, and then you get into riffs back and forth. What you're trying to do is you're trying to find jokes as you're talking.
Yeah. I've done gigs with Dana Carver where we drive out to the gig together, and sometimes some of the things in the car are so funny, and I go, God, why is it so funny? And he says, because there's no, we're not trying to please an audience. We're actually being ourselves.
Right. But you're also while you're talking to each other, you're looking for material. Right. And you find material. There's no question about it. And that's what I also love about. That's what I love about Comedians Getting Coffee. People don't realize this is what comedians do. That kind of banter back and forth. And Jerry enjoys being with other comedians. Mm-hmm. He enjoys that energy. So I really appreciate him. I just think that for a guy who became bigger than soap, that he really loves stand-up.
Yeah, and I like that show, too, because I like cars. So.
Yeah. Yes, although you haven't bought a new one in how many years?
I had time to get a new one. I got a 2000 Camry. So.
A 2000 Camry, yeah.
But it is in the same millennium, almost.
So if you bought a new car, since you say you like cars, what would you get to replace the 2000 Camry? A 2001 Toyota? What?
I would like to, what would I always wanted a Corvette, although.
Yeah.
That is kind of the, I think you're dead at this point if you get a Corvette, aren't you?
It's something like that.
Yeah.
But my question is, number one, doesn't that Camry suck up gas like nothing?
It's not
going?
bad, and I've just hit 395,000 miles on it. I mean, the car is it's bulletproof. It will not die.
Well, don't say that, because now you're going to go out this morning, start it, and it won't start, and that'll be it.
Yes. Well, that'll give me an excuse to buy a new one then. But I was getting new tires last summer, and I just thought I had like 380,000 miles. So I said, hey, we're 380,000 miles. And I pointed to another camera in the parking lot, and he goes, that one's got 530.
Really?
Yes.
Apparently, those cars never died.
No, a guy that works on Toyotas told me, he said the Toyotas that were made between 94 and 2002 are probably the best cars ever made in the history.
Really?
He said they're still good, but they're not. The newer ones are not going to be as durable as these were.
Yeah. Well, a little car talk, folks, here on the program.
Yeah, it's Comics and Cars with Alex Bennett.
So last time, we every now and then you come on with names of people you want me to identify. See if you can stump me. And
I can never stump you.
And I enjoy it. But you've got this book, and I imagine we could do 100 episodes of this because you've got. Is the book a big book?
It's an old almanac, and this is from like 2000, so I need to get a newer one because there's more people.
Well, but if you, of course, some of the people who die are older, But anyway, so do you have any more names that I can play with here?
Sure. We got in kind of I remember him, Stephen Boyd.
Stephen Boyd was a British actor, I believe. He was in Ben-Hur with Charlton Heston. He played Marcellus. How do I remember this? My mind today is, I'm remembering names like crazy today.
Yeah.
maybe it's the too much coffee I'm drinking today. I don't know, but I'm remembering these names. And Stephen Boyd, and he played Marcellus, and he was with Charlton Heston. Usually I'd be going, Stephen Boyd, he played, what was the name of that character? And he was opposite, what was it? Oh, Charlton Heston. You know, no, I'm just boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
And he was in some really bad movie called The Oscar, I think.
Oh, yeah. But it's one of those guilty pleasures that if you watch it, it's so bad it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if that makes sense, folks, but yeah. Sometimes films can be really bad and be distinctive in their badness, as it were.
Okay, died at 49.
Wow. Young. Okay.
Okay, let's see. God, there's so many here. Brian Ahern.
Brian Ahern. I know Brian Ahern. I mean, I know of the actor. I think he had a mustache.
Yes, he did. Yeah, I think he was English.
Yeah, and he was always another one of those with actors. I can't tell you anything he was in. I mean,
okay, well, this guy's well known, but you probably know something weird about him. Busby Berkeley.
Oh, Busby Berkeley. God, I mean, Busby Berkeley was. He directed. He was to begin with. He was a great director of musicals, and all those wonderful musicals from the 30s, for instance, like what am I trying to remember the names of them? Gold Diggers, the Gold Diggers films, and so on. He directed originally he directed the dance numbers in those films, and then he started just directing the whole films. And his dance numbers were amazing. I mean, they were the ones with 10,000 tapping feet. They were amazing. The overhead shots where people, all of a sudden, all the girls would form flower petals and things like that. I mean, he was a visionary and very. You would think Busby Berkeley was gay, but he wasn't. There are choreographers, folks, who are not gay, and Busby Berkeley was one of them, very much a heterosexual. In that area of dance, a lot of the choreographers were gay. I mean, and they were good, and maybe it was being gay that helped them be as good as they were. But Busby Berkeley was brilliant, just brilliant. So I love his films. And I'm still amazed at how he got all those camera angles and shots and things like that. But he had in his mind how something should look, and then he went out and got it.
It was the big overhead shots.
The big overhead shots, that was one of them. How about the ones where he goes through all the women's legs? I mean, you're going through literally a valley of crotches. And I'm going, how? I said, that's why we know he isn't gay. But he literally would take a camera. The women would be kind of standing there in a V and just go past all their crotches. And I think the amazing part about it is you go back to those films and you freeze frame it. There's not one camel toe in the bunch. So
it'd be a good name for a porno movie, Valley of the Crotches.
Valley of the Crotches. Anyway, so. Okay, another name.
TV personality, Alan Funt.
Of course, Candid Camera,
Did he I don't think he did anything else, did he?
Well, I don't think he tried. I think what it started out as, this is, you see, here are things that I know. It started out as a radio show called Candid Microphone.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was fairly popular. I don't think it lasted all that long before the advent of television. But once television came in, he decided to adapt it and call it Candid Camera. And, and then they would do all these various things. Buster Keaton, I remember, did one, where he was sitting there. I think he was drinking some coffee and his hat was falling into the soup or something. I don't know. And then you watch the people's reactions. There was part of me that loved the show. There was part of me that hated it because I felt it was very mean. It was like, look at you, you asshole. We just got you on candid camera.
I wasn't a big fan of it either.
You just made a fucking fool out of yourself because we dragged you in that direction, and now you look like a fool to everybody. You're on candid camera. And then the reaction is always, no, where's the camera? Where? I don't, there was something mean about that show. And of course, I liked it when I was younger. I watched it, but as years went on, I began to feel guilty about watching it. You know what I felt guilty about watching? You probably didn't watch any of this. You don't have HBO, do you?
No.
Oh, see? Silly of me to even ask. They ran this thing on Michael Jackson called Leaving Neverland.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the whole thing, but I felt guilty about it. Because of what was being revealed in it and the fact that I was being asked to believe every bit of it. And there was part of me that wanted to believe every bit of it because it then makes watching 4 hours of this piece of shit worth it. But I felt guilty about watching it. And I think that's what happened with me and Candid Camera. I got to feel guilty about watching it. Because what was the object? To make assholes out of people.
So Michael Jackson does not come across well.
Oh, in this thing? Oh, no. He comes across as, a little butt-fucking pederast. He just... If you're going to believe the whole story, but it's only told from one side. And I don't know that there is another side. There would be Michael's side if he was alive, but there's no other side because, the family says, well, they never interviewed us. Well, why should they interview you? You didn't know he was doing this kind of stuff, But it is only the word of two of these people. I mean, one of the kids that used to hang out all the time with Michael was Macaulay Culkin. He says, nothing like that ever happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? Who knows?
And like you say, it's kind of when the person can't defend himself when they're dead. So.
Yeah. I mean, I was all for the R. Kelly thing. I watched that and I was riveted to it because they were presenting the case that they were making, and they were making it a step at a time with these women who had been assailed by R. Kelly. And R. Kelly's here to defend himself. But Michael Jackson isn't here to say, no, that never happened. And they would never do this documentary if he was still alive. That's the other part of it. No, we don't want to touch that. He might sue us, So
who had that horrible joke about why is Michael Jackson's house like a sale at Kmart? Little boy's pants are half off. I forget who that was, but it was so stupid I laughed.
So as I say, I always felt guilty about watching Candid Camera for the same reason, that I'm getting a guilty pleasure out of it, but at somebody else's expense.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, that's, one more name quickly.
One more name. Okay. I thought this woman was so hot, Veronica Lake.
Oh, of course, she had the hair over her over her eye, one eye. Actually, she did a movie I love called Sullivan's Travels with Joel McCrea, it was a Preston Sturges film. See, I'm remembering all these names.
See?
Preston Sturges film, one of my favorite films. If you ever get a chance to see Sullivan's Travels, you must see it. In fact, that's where they got a title for a film, because in the movie, the director is sick and tired of directing these goofy comedies, and so he wants to make a movie out of this book he read called Brother, Where Art Thou? And of course the Coen brothers recently made a film by that name.
Yeah.
It was kind of a tribute to Preston Sturges, and it's a wonderful film. It's just a wonderful film. And what was the name we were going for here?
Veronica Lake.
Veronica Lake. And she plays the girl in this picture without the hair over her eyes, and she is adorable. just adorable.
Yeah, she was really hot, and
in this picture, terrific actress. Yeah.
Good actress, and apparently the career in life didn't end very well. As I recall.
What happened? Do you remember it all?
I think she alcoholism, and she wound up working at some crappy bar in some small town, and just people would come by. Didn't you used to be? And she denied.
Oh, they do that to me. So Hey, Bubs, we've run out of time.
Well, we'll have more names next time.
We'll have more names next time. More fun with Bubs. I enjoy our talks together. I really
love
do.
this.
I really do. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown. Bye, Bubs.
Bye, Alex.
Celebrating 4 years of talk like you've never heard it before, this is GABNET, the Great American Broadcast Network.
Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you very much, Bubs. We'll talk to him again next week. I love talking to him because he gets me talking, and it's somebody to talk to, and it's a half hour I don't have to do here. Anyway, where are we? Okay, so let me see. I guess I should open up the lines. I always keep waiting for the day that I try to open up the lines and Skype goes, fuck you. You can't use this version of Skype anymore. I hate them. I really hate them. I hate Microsoft. I hate all these people that have made my life a living hell, including anybody who's created technology, because I become my whole life is just putting out one technical fire after another, and I don't know, it just what the hell. Anyway, the lines are open. You can call if you want to. We allow people to call using Skype. I wish why hasn't somebody, people are so unhappy with Skype. I got to tell you, they are really definitely unhappy with Skype. So my question is, why doesn't somebody come along and say, hey, we're going to fix this problem. We're going to give you something better than Skype. Or we're going to give you what Skype does, but we're going to make it work for you. And we're going to listen to what you want out of it. Instead, it sucks. It just absolutely sucks. Hold on a second. I'm turning down the fan a little bit because it was getting a little too windy in here. By the way, I ever show you this shirt? This is for Corley Motors. See on the back, it says, I think you can see. Can you see that? I can't tell whether I've got my back to you or not because I can't see the camera. But that Corley Motors was the company, the motorcycle company in Full Throttle, a game I did a voice for. So I got that as a kind of prize for it. Hey, look who's here, ladies and gentlemen. It's Charlie Wallace. He's the first one out of the box, and here comes the second one out of the box, and it happens to be, Phil Meyer.
Hey.
Yeah. Hi, Phil. How you doing this evening?
Hey, Phil. Hi, Charlie.
Wait a minute.
Me in again.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me just turn something down here a second. There's a little slap back or something happening, which we've never been able to figure out. That's some kind of problem in Skype.
Yeah, it's their limited mix minus.
No, it has nothing to do with their mix minus, I have found out.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with their mix minus. It happens to do with their fact that they're a fucking company owned by Microsoft. And
so
you're
down on Gates.
I'll tell you, I get slapbacks so seldom these days that I don't even think twice about it. So, what the hell? Oh,
Jesus.
What?
Nothing.
What, was she handing you a condom or something?
No. I had fried chicken tonight, and for dinner, and she says I dropped a bone. I don't remember.
I thought you were staying away from bad food.
Well, this was really good fried chicken.
You know something? I've got news for you. Yeah, there is no such thing as bad fried. Well, I'm trying to think.
It wasn't breaded. It's fried, but it's not breaded.
What was it?
I don't know. This place in Orinda does it called Casa Orinda, and their chicken is so good. I told Faye I called them, paid for it, and had her pick it up on her way home.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because
it's the best fried chicken I've ever had. And I've been going there since the 80s, the early 80s.
You know, I just found that sometimes just really skanky fried chicken is good. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Popeyes is terrific.
It's very good, but don't take it home and then eat it. You know, if you don't eat it within the first few minutes of the making.
I've taken it home, and it's been good. The problem is that they don't have the same quality control that some other companies have. That I found that I'll go down and I will just get great chicken from the place down the street, and then I will come home another time with it, and it's kind of it's too dry or something like that. But Popeyes is it's it was a what can we call a recipe created by New Orleans chefs. Mm-hmm. In fact, Paul Prudhomme, before he died, I interviewed him, and then he died. No, I interviewed him, and I said, and I had asked Julia Child this question too. I said, do you eat any kind of fast food? And he says, yeah, I do. I eat Popeyes. He said, because all the people at Popeyes who are running it are either protégés of mine or other New Orleans chefs, and they have brought to fast food that New Orleans quality. And you know something? He said to me, he said, you want the best, what is it, the red beans and rice?
Red beans and rice, yeah.
He said, go to Popeyes. And I went to Popeyes, I got the red beans and rice, and to this day, if I get the red beans and rice, which I don't do much because of the diet, it is terrific. And I went to a New Orleans-style restaurant in San Francisco one night, and I said, give me the red beans and rice. And they brought the red beans and rice, and it was terrible. And I said to him, I said, this red beans and rice sucks. And he said, well, I'm sorry. I said, you know what you can do about it? I said, what? I said, get a big bucket, go down the street to Popeyes and have them load it up and then serve it.
There's a southern style place in San Francisco. I think it was called 1000 something. 1000 was the address on Fillmore.
Yeah.
And that was very good. I've had food there. And then there's a place in Oakland called Pecan, which has really good southern style food.
Hi, Rob. Yeah.
Hello, Rob.
Hey, Rob.
How's it going?
Anyway.
All right.
Yeah. But I mean, he was absolutely right, Prudhomme, and I didn't like the chicken back in those days. But then in recent years, I went back and got the chicken, and it was really good.
Well, the thing about this Casa Arinda is they change the oil daily. So it's so fresh.
But what's so good about Popeyes is they never change the oil.
Well, the oil is rancid.
That's the special kind of treat. Wait a minute, I got to get out of Jeff's face here. Hold on a second. Let me clean this up. There we go. A little less, little less in your face, Jeff. There we go.
Yeah.
But do you like fast food at all, Rob?
That's my nemesis.
Really? Like what is your?
I could eat fast food every day.
Really? What's your?
I don't care.
What's your go-to fast food?
I can't find one I don't like.
Oh, I see.
I like White Castles.
I was going to mention White Castle. Yeah. What?
I like White Castle. I can't get them here.
Yeah.
No?
They don't have them down here. No.
They're hard to get to.
You don't have White Castle. You have White Supremacist.
Yeah.
I get it.
No, White Castle. I can't figure out why I like White Castle. I mean, I just can't figure it out because if I show you a White Castle hamburger, everybody, you will go, "What the fuck is that?" You know, it's a little piece
onions.
It's a round little biscuit with a hamburger in it with holes in it. They puncture holes in it.
Yeah,
I don't know
but the
why.
hamburger,
hamburger.
is paper thin.
Yeah, and it's paper thin, and you buy like a dozen of them because you have to eat that many to fill yourself up.
Did you say that they're square as well?
And by the way, yeah, they're square.
Yeah.
And by the way, on top of it, you can get them with cheese.
Oh yeah, get him steamed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the buns are steamed.
Just get him the whole thing. They put him in the box or whatever, and then they put him in the steamer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think you can get them in Costco or someplace.
No, they sell them. They
Yeah,
sell
they're not
them
as
in.
good.
Not
No.
the same.
They sell them by the. They sell them in. They sell them in most supermarkets.
you can get them in
out here.
7-Eleven. I see them in 7-Elevens.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, I think
Same.
they're only in New York and Ohio. For
Oh,
some
I
reason.
have.
They're in
yeah,
Florida. I
Chicago.
saw them in Florida.
They're in Florida. They're in Nashville. Tennessee.
Really?
Yeah. Matter of fact, one time I went to Nashville, and my goal was the first thing I did was I had a White Castle hamburger. And, I had Faye
Just
with
one?
me.
Oh, I got one right down the street. I stay away from it today. The closest I came to blowing my diet in a long time is I went with Shecky to our sushi place, and I had a couple of pieces of sushi. So I blew my
rice.
diet.
That's blowing the diet.
Yeah, and
You
then
don't go
I
for
had
the,
a half a
sashimi?
chicken sandwich when I came home, and I actually ate rye bread with that chicken sandwich, or whole wheat bread. So
You don't do the sashimi instead of the sushi?
So then I went into my closet and put on every pair of pants that I have to see which ones were tight, and the same ones that have been tight before are still tight, but I don't think I've gained any weight. But
From one meal.
well, what
You
happened
worried
is
about it?
I went over to the sushi bar. I see it's sushi, but it's also a lot of other stuff. So I can eat a
it's a
lot of
buffet.
the other stuff. Although I had some crab balls, which I guess had some kind of crust on them. But anyway, it's a buffet, but it's
Crusty
a
crab
killer
balls.
buffet. Okay, and then they have this whole thing with the sushi. And I'm going over the sushi, and I know it's got rice. And will this cause a problem to me? And my pants are starting to fall down. So I figured I can eat them.
You know what I do in those all-you-can-eat sushi places is I take the fish off the rice, and I still like the wasabi and soy sauce.
It's
but
wasabi.
Wasabi.
Wasabi. No, but I'll tell you,
Wasabi.
So I really blew my diet today, I think. But tomorrow will be better. I haven't gotten on a scale in about a month. And the reason is I just got tired of getting on the scale and seeing it go up and go down and go up and go down by a couple of pounds. So
Water
I
weight,
just
9
figure,
times
hey,
every
if I don't feel fat, I'm fine.
It's water weight.
Does it
for the
look like
most
I
part.
gained weight, guys?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you saw me about 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, you were looking thin.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thin. I don't know if I'm thin.
Well, you had a touch of the
I'm
cancer.
thin. Yeah. Well, I have a touch of the cancer, right? So, So I mean, Shecky said to me, so how are we going to pay for this? I said, well, I've got cancer.
Dine and dash.
Yeah. No, and I really don't have. No, it's not officially cancer yet. Although the report said there's an 85% chance I have cancer, but that's just the computer spits that out based on something or another. But it's the good cancer. I can't. It still reminds me of fucking Little Richard telling me that he had a touch of the cancer, and as an excuse for why he couldn't do an interview. Well.
That's a good excuse.
You know what just happened to me? I've been going crazy. Phil got me these earbuds, right? These custom earbuds, and that I have now. And I just came upstairs and I turned the computer on to come up here and get on Gabnet, and I'm going crazy because I'm saying to myself, they're not fitting right. How come they're not fitting right? And I'm taking them in and I'm putting them on. I'm taking them in. It's 10 minutes now. You know why?
Why?
Backwards. Oh, you had those in your ears?
I've had my hearing aids on the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going, what's wrong? Why aren't these things fitting me?
I didn't know you had hearing aids.
Oh, yeah. I've been wearing hearing aids about 2 years now. Radio screwed up my ears.
I was in radio all that time, and I never screwed up my ears. But then again, you may have blasted it in your ears.
I worked in nightclubs, too, for many years.
Oh, okay. All right. That would do it. That would do it. You know, I mean, you remember Peter Townsend. I mean, you remember how loud The Who used to play in front of those amps? And he went so deaf that they recently changed the name of the group from The Who to The What?
You've been waiting a long time to use that one.
I know. I've used it a dozen times. You just haven't been paying attention.
So, yeah, are they getting more comfortable?
Yeah, they are. The only problem is that because I'm using an external mic here plugged into the laptop now, I can't hear myself. When I talk, I hear myself really loud in my head, and I can't get used to that.
Is there a solo on the...
No. I'm not hearing the microphone because it's like when you put your fingers in your ears and you talk, you hear yourself reverberating in your head, and that's what I hear. So
I use for
sound
earphones for my iPhone. I use SoundPeats.
I have SoundPeats too,
and they're cheap and they're good.
They're
really good.
So how this whole thing got facilitated was I got to a point where my last trip, I had to wear my SoundPeats for about 7 hours.
Yeah.
And every time I wear any plug-in headphones, I don't care, whatever they are, these are the soft tips on the end of the SoundPeats.
Yeah.
I get a headache from it.
Really?
Yeah. So I talked to Phil, and I had these things made for the SoundPeats and for these wired headphones.
Well, I got a new SoundPeat. I paid about $5 more and got their super delicious SoundPeats, which is a bigger thing around it. Has a different the sound is delicious. It's just
I'm
wonderful.
real happy with the sound.
They're really cheap too. They're like under $30. Yeah.
Under
How did the mold thing work on those on the ones that fit together magnetically?
Yeah, that's it. That's the SoundPeats. Yeah.
I don't use those as much as I use these.
Yeah.
So I tried them on, and they fit just as comfortably. But I only had them in my head for about
in the beginning.
Well, the SoundPeats have an answer to the Apple EarPods or whatever they call those things.
Hash pipes.
Yeah, and they just are little round things with a square thing on them as a base, and you put them both in your ear, and it's not like those fucking hash pipes hanging out of your ear, which I can't see why anybody wants to use those. And how they keep from losing them, how they keep from having them fall out of their ears. Those things.
The SoundPeats are magnetic.
Yes.
And I have a nice little case. I keep them with me, so when I travel, I have them.
Yeah. Well, the new ones I don't have
much.
The new ones I got are magnetic, but they're not. They're smaller magnets than the other ones, but they still stick together very nicely, and you just put them around your neck. And this one has two bulges in the wire, I think, to kind of just make it conform to your neck. So when it's there, it's just very comfortable. Just really nice. I'm getting quite used to them. But
when do you wear them?
When I'm walking around, and when I go to the gym, I watch some videos and things like that. Yeah. You know. And I always have my earphones on when I'm walking down the street in New York City. Yeah, I don't want to hear this fucking town. Okay?
Yeah, and you also don't want to be aware of anybody that's going to hit you over the head and take your wallet.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm oblivious, Yeah.
I took my new camera out today to Shecky's and shot with it, and I got about 35 minutes of video with one battery. So that's not bad. Everybody was saying, oh, it just eats up battery power. Yeah, because they're used to getting like 3 hours on a camcorder. But the fact is that these don't do that. But, it's easy to replace the battery, so you take a couple of batteries with you. But I pretty well, in fact, what I did was a whole trip out to, out to Queens, and also part of it a trip through Shecky's museum at home of cartoons and things like that. So I'm going to make it into a video and show it here some night soon and bore you all with my home movies. You know. Listen, I got it. You know, I read that letter last night that I got. You know, from that guy. Who,
I never want to put it on. I'm hot. Can you put the temperature up one notch?
Oh, it's a family fight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Over the temperature.
What's the temperature? Tell her Alex says turn up the heat.
Or in Connecticut.
Yeah.
I know it's 64 in the house, but what is it outside?
Yeah. Is it cold outside? I don't know. I have my zipper closed. Anyway.
Bada boom.
So you heard that letter I read last night that I got from some idiot saying that I had to send him $1,000. Otherwise, he was going to send pictures of me watching porn that he had done by getting into my camera. And then he says, cut and paste the Bitcoin number. But you couldn't do it because the letter itself was a JPEG, and you can't cut and paste a JPEG.
What I want to know
this guy was totally the most inept con artist.
I don't know.
Ever.
He knew that you watch porn. Now, if it was some 80-year-old lady that didn't watch porn, the porn threat wouldn't have worked. So how did he know
that I watch porn? It's a pretty good bet. Okay.
Yeah. Good bet.
It's a pretty good bet. But on top of it, what I did do is I did change my home Gabnet email address. I did change the password just to be on the safe side. But you know.
But he has it because he has that program that you can see people's keystrokes. I had that for the store at one time, but I let the license run out. But you can see screenshots. You can see every keystroke. Let's say they type in there "Phil is a fucker," and then they go backspace, backspace, backspace. Great guy. You know, I can see both.
You can see that. That's very nice, Phil. That's great. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we got that thing last night, and I can't remember what did I change my, well, I have it written down. I keep forgetting. What did I change my number to? Yeah. But
I had a similar thing happen. Before I left, I lost my wallet.
Yeah.
So I stopped all the, they issued new credit cards for myself and the store because I had the store credit card.
Yeah.
My email for the store cut off because they didn't get their payment, and so I'm trying to, and I'm getting this thing on the screen that says we need your Microsoft credentials, and I'm typing in the thing and I couldn't get it, so I call up the company that hosts my email and I said, hey, what's going on here? And then I told him my story of woe. And he says, yeah. He says, you were cut off because they didn't get their payment. So, but I thought I couldn't remember my email address.
Yeah.
And I tried
I'm just trying to remember. What did I change my new password to? Well, I have it written down somewhere. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway. Let me see here. Oh, so today, a while back, a thing came by as a message on my messenger on Facebook. So I want to read this because everybody here has Facebook, so they're probably going to get this, right?
Okay.
This message is to inform users that our servers have been very busy lately. So we ask you to help solve this problem. We ask active users to forward this message to everyone in your contact list. To confirm active Facebook users, if you do not send this message to all your Facebook contacts, your account will remain inactive with the result of losing all your CONT move this message. Your smartphone will be updated in the next 24 hours, and you will have a new design and a new color for chat. Dear Facebook users, we will update to Facebook from 2300 p.m. until 5 a.m. on this day. If you do not send this to all your contacts, the update will be canceled and you will not have the possibility to chat with your Facebook messages. Now, to begin with, it's so badly written
that's what I was just going to say.
that you can't understand what they're trying to say. I mean,
What?
if you're going to be from a foreign country and you're going to run a scam on the rest of the world, please have somebody who knows the English language write the letter.
My friend called me today and said that Facebook was down for 3 hours, that it had a massive crash.
When did it have a massive crash?
Today.
What? Oh, really? Because last night YouTube had a massive crash. I couldn't sign on and post my video till about 2 o'clock in the morning.
North Koreans.
No, Donald Trump. Yes.
Same thing.
Yes, Charlie.
And not only that, but once Facebook came back up, I have not been able to comment on any posts all day. It won't let me do it. It always fails.
That's Donald Trump.
Really? I'll tell you something. I really am getting to hate Facebook. And I'm getting to hate Facebook because, to begin with, they're not policing this kind of shit. You know?
That would never happen in MySpace.
No, because there are only 2 people using MySpace. No, I just think it is time for us to just give up on Facebook. Because they allow so much crap to go through and so many scams to be done. You know, okay, I'm laughing about this because I know better, all right? Although, to be on the safe side, I sent this to all my friends.
Right.
Oh, I didn't get it, so I must not be one of your friends.
No, that's right. That's why you didn't get it. But anyway, you know, and I just wonder why Facebook, you know, they're so busy trying to police against the Russians who do not, I don't think, do the damage these guys do, because there are a lot of very naive people who belong to Facebook. You know, there are 2 billion naive people who use Facebook and who are going to get something like that, and they're going to be worried by it, and they're going to react to it. You and I know it's a piece of shit, and you just laugh at it. I read it on the air, and I delete it and block the user. And you know, and I block the user, and I might be unfair because the actual user might just be somebody who's one of my friends. You know, who didn't.
They're spoofing.
They're spoofing it. Yeah, that happens a lot. You know, I mean, but I'm sick and tired that Facebook doesn't do something about this. And now you say today they were down for 3 hours. So somebody's hacking into them. They'll never admit that somebody hacked them. Okay, but that's probably what happened. So, you know, what are you gonna do? You know, it's ridiculous.
The world we live in.
Yeah, it's the world we live in, and it gets more and more dangerous because of the technology. I mean, you would have thought, you know, and I was always...
Who's that guy that said that he invented the web besides you? I
never said I invented the web. I invented the podcast.
Yeah, close enough. But there was a guy yesterday.
No, the guy who said
Timothy,
what?
Timothy Begley or something like that. He's the guy who's credited with inventing the web 30 years ago. And he
30 years ago? It was invented long before that, Phil.
Well, the news thing that I heard, that's
30 years ago would place it when
1980.
89.
89. I think I was already using computers in 85.
Yeah. It was, well, maybe did he invent ARPANET?
There was ARPANET, but that was back in the 70s.
Well, maybe I got the date wrong, but this was on several different radio stations that I listened to in the car.
Yeah, and all of which are Michael Savage. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But this guy had made a prediction, or it was saying that the web is being misused, and he was kind of foretelling what you're saying now as well.
Well, but what I'm saying is that I've always been a proponent of the internet, and I've always been a proponent of technology, and all this stuff just absolutely, it was what I was looking forward to. And I didn't realize that the day would come when all this technology would come back to bite us in the ass, that people are misusing it. They're using it for cons, and it's gotten just downright dangerous. I mean, we were talking last night about this letter that I got, that if I didn't pay $1,000, he was within 48 hours, he was going to send pictures of me watching porn and what I was watching, right?
And what you were doing.
To all my friends, and I'm sure you've all gotten it by now and have had a good laugh. And I went online and looked at, this kind of scheme, and of course it said this was so common they were actually saying it almost wrote for what this guy wrote to me. And one of the items said, but this is a serious deal because people have wound up committing suicide because they thought that somebody was going to release this stuff, and that it's become dangerous. And I just think that with all the things our government does, I mean, we go after this, and we get apoplectic over that, and even people, Mexicans knocking at our door. This is the real danger in our society. These are the people who are truly hurting other people, and nobody's doing anything about it.
This guy's name is Tim Berners-Lee, and he said it's the inventor of the web. Says the internet is broken, but he plans to fix it. He told CNBC that there's been a big change in the web since he invented it nearly 30 years ago. He's the founder of the World Wide Web.
Let's see here. Tim Berners-Lee. He is. Hold on a second.
And that was your commie CNBC.
Let me get a Wikipedia thing on him.
It's Berners-Lee.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Known as Tim BL, is an English engineer and computer scientist, best known as the inventor of the World Wide Web. Now, he wasn't the inventor of the internet. He was the inventor of the World Wide Web.
They got me on that one.
Well, no, there's a difference.
Yeah.
And that the World Wide Web is the situation we created so that you would all have addresses and things like that, and the people speaking to people and so on. He came close to inventing the internet, but I think the internet itself was ARPANET, wasn't it, Rob?
ARPANET,
yeah.
Originally. But I just got an email today. I belong to this thing called, I get this regular email from, I'm not even sure the name of the company, but it always has a lot of interesting stories.
Yeah.
And the one day was the internet turns 30. And then it showed like the first GIF, the first spam email, the first, like about 12 or 13 different firsts.
The internet turns 30. I could swear in 85 I was using the internet.
I used it in the 70s. My friend worked for Fairchild, and I went down to his place in Palo Alto, and it had to be like 1975. And he said, "Do you want to play backgammon with the Stanford computer?" And I said, "Yeah." And so he dialed it up, and I was playing backgammon with the Stanford computer. That was my first foray with the web.
Actually, the internet was kind of stolen by the public. Because it was originally created as a communications device between educational institutions
and medical
and a few other things like that. And they would talk to each other on it. And all of a sudden people learned how to piggyback on it. Before you knew it, you and I were using the internet. The same thing happened with GPS. GPS was a government thing. And somebody learned how to read those satellites. And so they started using them too. And I remember I was one of the first people that used it. I got a device, and it was a little yellow device. You put it on your computer, and it told you exactly where you were.
So I just Googled
gyroscopes too.
What were you?
I just Googled the internet, the World Wide Web, not the internet, turns 30 years old.
Yes.
The World Wide Web was conceived March 12th, 1989, by computing legend Tim Berners-Lee. Yeah. So that was done March 12, 1989.
Yeah, but that's not the first internet.
Well,
it was known as ARPANET, right?
Yeah.
That's been around since the 70s.
Right. Yeah, well, when they said the World Wide Web, I just assumed that was internet. But
now, I've still yet to be able to have anybody explain to me where the internet is.
It's everywhere.
But I know it's everywhere, but how does it get there? And where does it just float across? How does it get from here to England? How do I hear from
private networking?
It's in Russia.
It's private computer networking that's set up all over the world, and it's just routes from router to router to router to router.
Okay, but it's free.
Well, they monetized it.
No. Internet providers monetized it, but they still are using the internet themselves for free. They're putting you onto the internet.
Don't they have to pay ICANN or any of those kind of guys?
No, you pay ICANN for a
address.
Address, yeah.
Oh.
But I mean, who's getting paid for all these? And I happen to know that there were. I used to know them. There was Something West. There were a couple of internet pipelines.
Western Union?
No, there was something called Something West, and I'm trying to remember what it was called. But still, I often ask this question, and people can't give me a straight answer. I said, where's the internet? How do I find it? How do I know? Is it getting there by wires? Is it getting there by shortwave? How does it get from here to Bree in Dubai?
But you can see a path. There's ways of.
But how is that path facilitated? Is it shortwave? Is it a radio wave? Is it wires under the water? What is? How is it done?
That's a good question.
That's a good question. And
fiber,
what?
Fiber.
No, but they was here before fiber, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it was operating.
All I'm saying is,
fiber.
where does that? When I'm going out right now, and I'm going to, I don't know where my server is, but it's a company called Voscast, and Voscast is out there sending this signal out to the internet. Now, where's it? How's it getting? How is Bree getting it? He's in.
It says here most of what you see on the internet, including possibility of this article that I'm reading, travels to you from underwater. In fact, 99% of all international data is transferred through a labyrinth of cables stressing across the ocean floors of the world's oceans. There are 229 of them, each no thicker than a soda can.
Wow.
Now, you do remember that there was a cable, the transatlantic cable, which was one cable, took them forever to do it. How they ever did it, they don't know. And now you say there are tons of them underwater. Now, isn't that an old technology?
I wonder what it would look like if something were to, they're just cables, and what happens if, underwater, under the ocean, eventually they're going to rot.
I would wonder if Jason would know this stuff.
Oh, no, Jason wouldn't know this stuff.
Because of the AT&T technology.
Where's all my video audience going tonight? Maybe there's some trouble with transmission. The signal's going out okay, but it's just, it's not the same numbers I usually get. Anyway, because it's the show.
We're not yelling.
The show sucks. No, all I'm saying is I've often wondered that we say the internet, and that's a simplified answer. I know that I go on the internet and Bree can hear me in Kuala Lumpur right now, right? But still, how does it get there?
It's a series of tubes, don't you remember?
And how does it get there for free?
If you actually, you say it's an internet, it's a series of tubes, but this article, which is on the World Economic Forum website, actually calls it Internet Tube. You could look at the internet like you would look at stops on like the New York City subway map. They've got it all mapped out here, how it connects.
Oh, well, that's fine. But I still want to know why. How come it doesn't cost money for that carriage? There's a whole bunch of people so in love with this idea, they do it for free. They build all this infrastructure for free.
I think
don't know
a lot
who
of
built
it
the infrastructure. I guess the government.
Well, I think private enterprise built a lot of it because they use it. So they have a you know.
But if it was private enterprise, they wouldn't let other people use it for free.
Not for free.
I think it was the government, wasn't it? That
I think it was the government that laid the first cable anyway.
I don't know if it was our government. You know,
I think it was.
Our government's always behind on shit like that. Yeah. But I just, you know, I know it's a very simple question I'm asking folks, but when we always said the internet, and I said, okay, I assume that it exists because I know it exists. I say something here, and Bree hears me in Dubai or in Kuala Lumpur.
You had some guests on CNET that were from AOL, and they were describing.
Oh, they never knew what the internet was.
Well, no, they were describing
them.
how they make out of these addresses. Email address, a simplified email address.
Well, because they were all IP addresses.
Right, but they were, I mean, long, you know, beyond long. And I listened to them on your CNET show describe that. It almost turned me off to the internet because it was too complicated.
So. Listen, I mean, I just, all I know is that this is a kind of, it's almost like, I often said that everything is explained by just saying it's magic. Yeah. That if you take anything, and you then extrapolate it like a little kid would, like where does food come from? Well, food comes from the earth. Well, how did the earth get there? Well, it was made. And by the time you're through, the kid keep harping away at how come. Your last answer is going to be it's magic.
No, that doesn't hold up anymore. Now it's fake news.
Oh, it's fake news. I see. But no, it's
just
magic.
Google internet backbone and take a look at what Wikipedia writes about it.
Yeah. But is there something they called something West? I'm trying to remember now. It was the one node of the internet that I knew of, and it was on the West Coast.
So it's owned by. There are 6 Tier 1 companies. Tier 1 providers, the largest providers known as Tier 1, have such comprehensive networks that they never purchase transit agreements from other providers. As of 2016, there are 6 Tier 1 providers, and they're called CenturyLink, Level 3, Telecarrier, NTT, GTT, Tata Communications, and Telecom Italia. Those are the 6 huge, big Tier 1 providers of the internet.
We never heard of them, did we? And then there's the biggest company of all, Bodacious Tatas.
Right.
Yeah.
Tata is in India. They even make cars.
Yes.
Yeah. A car for like $1,000 or something.
Yeah.
It's new.
All I'm saying is that, you know, we do pay an internet service provider.
Yeah.
To get us onto the internet.
And they have to pay.
They have to pay?
I'm sure they have to pay.
Somebody's got to pay somewhere.
Yeah.
And what happens, we've never had it happen where one of these companies went, fuck all y'all, we're not letting you on our internet anymore.
Yeah, they called that the thing you didn't like, internet. That guy Pi brought it in, and the speeds. What do they call that?
Oh,
that you were worried about the speeds being net neutrality.
Net neutrality has just been killed, by the way.
Yeah.
It's been killed. Net neutrality, the thing to stop net neutrality, which Ajay wants, has been killed. He's been stopped in his tracks.
Yeah. But
there are all kinds of suits and everything. It's
strategically interconnected computer networks and core routers. Mm-hmm. That's what Wikipedia says.
That's why we only have 5 people listening to us tonight.
Well, you know, at the beginning, I remember that.
You know, I just
telephone system.
It's just that these things at certain points we just like. I love people who always talk about, well, I'm doing cloud computing. There's no fucking cloud. You're
tell the IT industry that.
Yeah, I'm paying $200 a month for the cloud.
You're sending a signal to a computer in Atlanta. Okay,
yeah,
that's your cloud, asshole.
No, but that's not what they mean by cloud. What they mean by cloud,
offsite hosting.
You don't know. Like in the old days, you knew where your workloads resided.
Yeah.
You put in servers, and you knew that your application ran on that server.
Yeah.
In the cloud, it's not dependent upon any specific infrastructure. That's why it's considered a cloud. It's just out there.
Well, for instance, I use a company for my accounting system. They're in Texas. They host the thing, and so it's off-site, and I don't have to use a server anymore, which was a pain in the ass because every 5 years I needed a new one.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about if it goes down.
They do the updates, and I make one phone call.
You just have to worry about security.
So this thing, I didn't know that Facebook went down today because I was out of the house, so I didn't know. But I did have trouble when I first came in here getting onto my page, and then I had to reboot the route of the Facebook page. But I didn't know they were having trouble. I do know that YouTube last night was having problems, that I couldn't upload my videos to it for quite a while.
Is that why you got cut off on the interview, or?
No.
Well, that was the day before.
That was the end of my interview with Ronnie yesterday. All kinds of problems when I deal with her, and I never have any problem, with people, with you guys. You're not out of sync at all,
Maybe she doesn't have a lot of bandwidth.
Oh, there's something it has to do with, I'm using the switcher called OBS, and it overlays over the picture that she's got there. It kind of overlays a little bit, and I found when I didn't overlay it, when I moved it, all of a sudden she got in sync. So there was something with OBS and with her sync, and it's strange because it doesn't happen with anybody else. And I'm using another line when I do those interviews. I don't use Gabnet Live because I'm afraid that if I use Gabnet Live, somebody's going to call me during the interview.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, are you doing a show?
Yeah. But anyway, so it's magic, folks. So anyway, listen, did you hear about the latest? This one, and this one I got to kind of defend the person, okay? Another Fox host got in trouble. This time, who do you think it is this time? Well, yesterday it was Jeanine Pirro, and that cunt deserves it.
Tucker Carlson?
Yes, it was Tucker Carlson.
Ooh.
Dear old Tucker. My old friend Tucker,
What did he do?
Mother Tucker.
I used to do his show every Friday. Every Friday I would do his show, and it was when he was on MSNBC. So anyway, you remember Jeanine Pirro got in trouble for her comments about the Muslim Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Well, now Tucker Carlson has become the focus of controversy over his past remarks. The liberal advocacy group Media Matters for America,
Soros,
who I hate, absolutely hate, and may have been responsible for the reason why I'm no longer at Sirius XM, this week released 2 batches of recordings Carlson made as a guest on radio's Bubba the Love Sponge show between 2006 and 2011.
You just can't keep coming back. And
some of that had to take place, probably, I would say that had to take place when Bubba the Love Sponge was on Howard's channel on Sirius.
That's right.
Before he worked at Fox. This is before he worked at Fox. The release was timed to coincide with Fox's meeting with advertisers on Wednesday. The report says that in the tapes, Carlson made remarks minimizing statutory rape, used sexist slurs to refer to a specific woman, and referred to Iraq as a crappy place filled with a bunch of, semi-illiterate primitive monkeys. All right, now, he said all this, but it was before he worked at Fox, and it was in between 2006 and 2011. Carlson is standing his ground, responding to the release by attacking Media Matters and vowing that he will never bow to the mob. The report quotes Carlson saying that it is pointless to try and explain how the words were spoken in jest or taken out of context, or in any case bear no resemblance to the actual thing.
Can't that be solved easily?
Huh?
He grabbed her by the pussy.
Can't that be solved easily by just getting the actual broadcast and playing it back?
I'm sure they did.
Well, to begin with, let me say, first of all, it doesn't matter. He said this in 2006 to 2011. They are alleging they're sexist comments, but that's only their interpretation of the comments, okay? And if you know Bubba the Love Sponge show, it was always kind of a comedy show, and people who went on there acted outrageous, all right? I don't think that he should be held to account for what he said on those shows. I think, and
they're
I
holding
think,
other comedians to that.
Well,
scrutiny.
Media Matters are a bunch of fucking creeps. All right, and supposedly they're on my side, but they're not, because they operate in an atmosphere of, well, it's that same atmosphere I talk about when I talk about McCarthyism. You know, it's making people have to be in trouble for something they did years and years ago, not recently, not in their current job. And I don't dislike Carl Tucker because he was very good to me, but I do feel sorry for him in this case because Media Matters is really an ugly organization. As you say, it's funded by George Soros and used as his, what can we call it? They go out and do his dirty work. They do his dirty work for him.
Yeah.
You know, and I always disliked Media Matters. I always found them to be, and that's one of the reasons I think I'm no longer at Sirius, because I complained about them, and I always kept saying that they were terrible. And the guy who did one guy who was a guest on people's shows and did some replacement, this guy named Ari, I can't remember, Raven something or another.
Fleischman?
No, he was in charge. He was one of Media Matters honchos or whatever, and he got very mad because I said some nasty things about Media Matters. And before I knew it, I was out of work at Sirius, and guess who had the morning show? This guy.
Really?
Yes.
What's his name?
Ari Raven something or another. Raven Mad. And he was terrible, too. He was not good. And I think part of it had to do with them getting me out of there, and maybe Soros using his push to call people at Sirius and say, get rid of this guy, replace him with our guy.
Yeah, what I understand is Media Matters, when they find somebody that isn't in lockstep with their opinion or their goal, or talks against anything that they stand for, then they go after you.
Yeah, and
that's Nazism.
Well, they were mad at me because I was. Well, what happened was I kept getting Media Matters email, I think it was, and I finally said, well, they quit sending me this shit because really, you know, I get enough junk email as it is already. And this is completely ridiculous. I don't like the Media Matters email. So Ari Raven, whatever his name was, wrote me a note and said, then we're taking you off our mailing list. Oh, boy, am I being hurt by that. But this guy never forgot this, and he was out to get me. And he was one of the heads of Media Matters. And that's who they gave a show to when they fired me. He got my job.
Wow.
You know, and I was not surprised when it happened because it was, if I ever had to assign a reason for them letting me go, I would say probably that was it. You know, that there was some, that, you know, Soros maybe called up the head of Sirius and said, we want that guy off the air, and because he was George Soros, you know, it was done, and I want you to put our guy in his place.
And there was no chance that it was a beef that seemed to have been running around on YouTube or the internet that showed Howard Stern going up to your studio, fighting mad, and then he gets up there and talks to you for a few minutes, and then goes back down to his studio and says, God, he's such a nice guy. I couldn't.
It was,
and then 2 weeks later, you
got what's her name? His co-host,
Robin.
Oh, the
Robin said to him, gee, you were so nice with him. And he said, well, the minute I walked in the studio, he put out his hand and said, glad to meet you, Howard. Always wanted to meet you. And, you know, he says, how can I be nasty to somebody like that? He said he was too nice. He completely disarmed me.
Yeah. Oh, so you're familiar? Yeah, I'm sure you're familiar.
I'm familiar with it. It happened to me, Phil. Yeah. You know, it was the only time. It was one of only 2 times that Howard ever went on another show on Sirius XM, and he actually came down from his studio. His producer, Baba Booey, came in and said, he wants to argue with you. Will you come down to the studio? And I said, no, if he wants to argue with me, he has to come to me. And so they picked up the whole fucking studio with cameras and everything, because he was doing the TV thing as well. And they hooked it in, so my studio was hooked into his studio, and he walks in and we do the whole thing. The fight we were having was over this guy who was pranking, what's his name, Wiener, when he gave his press conference. Yeah. And I just said, you know, I find that kind of in bad taste. I said, but God knows Wiener is in bad enough shape as it is. He has been humiliated beyond all possible humiliation, and now in a moment where he is getting up there and just saying, hey, I've been humiliated and I'm sorry about this and all of that, you got him only just making it worse.
And that guy Benji
was the guy that did it, yeah. And I said, you know, I have no great love for Wiener. I said, I have no love for what he did. But, you know, I think that to prank him is only taking the knife and sticking it in and turning it more, you know. Right. I said, I think it was cruel.
I thought you took the high road. You know,
yeah,
they're not a high road,
which was unusual for me. You know.
Well, but because you disarmed him by taking the high road, so he couldn't react.
Yeah. But I mean, and I tried to explain it to him. I said, I just found it in terribly bad taste to do that. You know, the guy had already been humiliated, so you don't need to send your guy down to humiliate him when he's there to do a mea culpa for being humiliated.
Right, but I think Stern was saying that he was doing it was a promotion. You know, it was
he acted on his own. He wasn't sent.
Yeah, but what he was doing was making headlines for their show.
Yeah,
and so that was his claim to fame.
Well, you know something? You take responsibility for everybody who does anything in your name if they work for you. Okay. Yeah. You know, I couldn't buy Opie and Anthony's argument that they didn't tell those people to go down to St. Patrick's Cathedral and fuck in the pews. You know, and by the way, that cost me a job in Sacramento. Long story. Why? Well, what happened was I was supposed they had I was out of work. I was looking for work. I found a place in Sacramento that had Opie and Anthony on in the afternoon, and we're also running their show in the morning. And they decided that they wanted to put their own local show on in the afternoon, and I was supposed to go to work for them. And I was supposed to like start on this was on a Tuesday. We agreed to the whole deal, and I was supposed to start on Monday. And on like Thursday or something like that, they sent these people into the church, into St. Patrick's Cathedral, to fuck in the pews. It was a promotion for Samuel Adams beer, believe it or not. And all of a sudden, it becomes a big uproar about, you know, how they did something horrible, and they got fired from the station here in New York on Friday. And then I get a call saying, well, we're going to not be doing a show in the afternoon because they just killed the whole thing with Opie and Anthony.
It was
and
a real talk for me.
Yeah, we're probably just going to go to music.
Were you the one? Were you the one that in New York? I was. It's a long time ago, but had people come down to the studio in the dead of winter in swimsuits, women in swimsuits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how's that wrong?
WABC?
Yeah,
or PLJ?
No, I don't think I did that in New York. No. Did I do it in New York? No, I don't know. I seem to remember something like that, but I think it would have been in San Francisco, actually. But
I was a kid.
I think I might have said we'll give a prize or something to the first woman that comes down here in a bathing suit, and that she wore it, you know, on the.
I thought there was a line, a bevy of people that came down.
No, I don't remember that. I don't remember much of anything, you know.
The halcyon days.
Yeah, the halcyon days. But, you know, I mean, all I'm saying is that, so how did I get into that whole thing with Opie and Anthony? Oh, then it was Howard.
It was the Howard Stern thing.
It was the whole Howard Stern thing, yeah. You know, I mean, you know who I'm feeling a little sorry for? Please forgive me, and this is going to shock everybody who's listening to this program. But I was feeling for a moment sorry today for Paul Manafort. Now, let me explain why. Okay?
Please do. On this one.
I'm not saying that the guy shouldn't be getting time in jail, and that he shouldn't be sentenced and whatever. But it's the circumstances under which this happened. In that the government was trying to find out about the Russia probe, and as a side effect of that, found out about all this horrible stuff that Paul Manafort had done. All right? And then he went on trial, and I think they found him guilty. I don't think he pleaded, you know. He didn't
I'm not sure.
He
what, 4.5 years?
What?
He was sentenced to 4.5 years.
No, he was three, a little over 4. A total of between the two charges, he was sentenced again today.
Yeah,
something like close to 7 years. And I'm thinking, you know, if this guy had never been involved in the Trump thing and done everything else that he already has done, he'd probably be walking the streets free.
Yeah,
because nobody would have paid attention to his malfeasance. Right. Now, granted, he's a criminal. He's a fucking crook. But it's the whole Trump thing that caused him to be found out. And so from that standpoint, I was thinking, okay, he's got 7 years now. If Trump doesn't give him a pass on it, a pardon, then he's going to have to serve that 7 years. He's already
He'll
7 years
serve
old.
3.5.
Well, whatever. Now they're thinking of hitting him with another case here in New York, which, of course, the president couldn't pardon him from.
Right.
And they keep piling charges onto this guy. Come on, you got him for 7 years. I'm happy. You know,
it's because they want Trump. That's what it is. Well, they're going to keep chipping it.
Well, let's not get into that, because then you and I are going to start arguing. But all I'm saying is I feel a little sorry for Manafort, because he did something that a lot of other people do and get away with because it never comes to light. But it did because he was high profile due to his association with Trump. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but he's still
doesn't
a
mean I don't feel bad for him. And you know what? Have you heard about this whole thing with these wealthy people?
Oh, that
who paid. Colleges.
We got into
that last night.
I hope they all fry, and I want to know all their names.
Well,
I think they
William
should
H.
be
Macy's
publicized.
wife.
Wow.
The cute chick from Fuller House.
Yeah.
And And I guess there was some
and her husband, who is a
executive,
her husband
gave a coach $250,000 and somebody else $950,000, and he lost his $8 million a year job today.
This is why the country's in the shape. The world, forget the country.
Yeah.
The world is in the shape.
Well, I think
nobody has scruples or morals anymore.
I think
you don't teach your kids that it's not right to cheat. You just.
I think that story is much more vexing to me than almost anything else, that I hear about, even some of the Trump stuff, because this is here we have had our educational institutions, major ones, Stanford, Yale,
USC,
Georgetown,
compromised for payoffs, and that really, I think what it says is the price of education has gone too high. The ability for the average person to get admitted to these colleges based upon their skills and their abilities has been diminished. There are people who didn't get into these schools because some kid wanted to turn Yale into a party school, I mean,
don't forget College of Marin.
Well, College of Marin, it was compromised completely. They think they only had to pay the coach there about $100. But anyway,
you helped me with a final exam I had there.
Really?
Yeah, you dictated the idea of it was a Technicolor, the Tricolor film, and you quoted the Becky Sharp movie.
Yeah. You mean Technicolor?
Technicolor, right?
Yeah, three-color Technicolor.
So you gave me the start of the paper, and started me off in that direction.
And what was the paper on?
Just that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I then cheated for you or something like that?
Yes. Yes, you did.
Yeah. But, I mean,
I don't think of anything to write about.
It's
He did it for free? How much did you pay him?
He did it for free.
But it is disgusting. And, the thing is that there are two famous people involved in this. This Lori Loughlin, who I barely know who the fuck she is, but supposedly
Full House.
Yeah, I never watched that piece of shit.
Now,
neither did another friend of mine. Neither did another friend of mine, Bob Saget, who I always said to him, "How did you wind up on that piece of shit?" He said, "For that paycheck, you do it too." But anyway, they went after what's her name?
Was Lori somebody?
Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman. But there's a difference between the two cases. Lori Loughlin, I don't know what they paid the money for, but she and her husband, who's a famous designer, who I never heard of, and neither did my wife, paid close to $500,000 to get this kid of theirs, the one that made the videotape saying, "I'm here to party. I don't care about learning," on her Facebook page. They paid almost $500,000, whereas Felicity Huffman and her husband only paid $15,000.
That was to cheat on the SATs.
It was to cheat on the SATs. So my question is, which case is more severe?
They're
both
the
same.
They're the same.
They're both exactly the same.
No difference.
If you kill somebody with two bullets, or you kill them with one bullet, what's the difference? They're still dead.
Right.
What's to say they didn't hire this guy, and his expertise to get their kids into college, but didn't know exactly what he was doing to get them into college?
I'm sure they knew,
Supposedly they have Felicity Huffman on the phone talking to this guy or something.
Yes, they have phone calls.
And by the way, this guy, was arrested a year ago. He was arrested a year ago. And then he pleaded guilty. He pleaded guilty.
He's been cooperating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been working on this since 2018, like April of 2018.
Yeah, he's doing a Cohen. He's doing a Cohen.
Well, no, he's not doing a Cohen exactly. This may get him lesser time.
Don't you understand? It's just it's the society just again deteriorating because now your parents are teaching the kids it's okay to cheat.
And it's also
I also feel sorry for Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin because they are only one of about 50 people who were arrested in this thing, and we're not getting all the other names publicly because they're not the names that the FBI is not going to put those names out because they're getting all this publicity via Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin.
But they should publish all the names.
Oh, they should. Absolutely. Now, the question is, here's who I got to say I feel sorry for only because they're the innocent bystanders are the kids who got who got into these colleges. They may not have known how, but they got into these colleges, and now everybody is pointing at them as they walk down the hallway.
They're being expelled. They're being let go.
Not all of them.
Oh, I heard they were all being let go.
No, they're all being looked at on a case-by-case basis, these schools have said.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
I read it wrong.
Yeah.
I have no sympathy for that.
Well, do you think the kids really knew what was going on, or their mom?
Absolutely. Somebody's taking your SATs and you don't know?
If it's the SAT, you have to know about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't. In the case of Felicity Huffman, I don't think it wasn't that the kid didn't take the SATs. Wait a minute, let me finish it. There wasn't a kid that didn't take the SATs. It was that the proctor corrected the SATs. Yeah. So the kid might not have known about it.
No. There was a guy. I just read the article.
Yeah.
There were 3 guys. There was a coach who was like coach of the year 2 or 3 years running. There was
not next year.
Now you know why.
There was a brilliant guy who could take all these tests, and he got $10,000 for every test that he went to take, or $15,000. I'm not sure, whatever. And the third person was that guy Singer, who was sort of like the guy that ran the fake charity.
Right.
All these people.
Oh, that's the bad part about it. Here's the bad part. You just mentioned the bad part about it. These people paid this guy Singer to do this stuff, but they paid it into a foundation that he had, or charity he had. And I'm trying to remember the name of it right now. And they paid to the charity, and that was a tax-deductible donation.
So
I guess they're getting audited.
So that's tax fraud. That's tax fraud. This thing is so deep.
These people are screwed.
Yeah. They're screwed.
So, this guy yesterday, his name is Bill McGlashan. He's on leave after the admissions scandal. He was the former PIMCO CEO and Hercules Capital. Mm-hmm. I guess he lost a big job.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody should lose a job yet. The trial hasn't taken place, but
they let him go.
Innocent until proven guilty, in my opinion.
Yes, but if you're running a hedge fund, you know.
Well, the old way that you would do this, if you were really rich, is you would just buy a new building.
Yeah,
right.
Put your name on it.
Well, that was the old way of doing it.
Yeah.
But you'd have to have a lot of money. You know, I was talking to Shecky about this today, and David Letterman came from Ball State. He went to Ball State, and so he's always been very good at giving scholarships and everything at Ball State. A lot of money he's put into Ball State. And they have, I think, there's even a building with his name on it at Ball State. That's how much money he's invested in Ball State. But Harry, his son, is not going to Ball State. You know, it's not like he's using that to get his kid into college. So, you know, I mean, there's some people that just give the money because they want to give the money. And, hey, you know, the kid wants to go there. They will go to the head of admissions or whatever and say, you know, let my kid in as a legacy or something like that, because you can get your kid in as a legacy if you went to some place. Hi there. How you doing, Kevin?
All right. How you doing?
Yep, doing fine. We haven't seen you in the last couple of nights. How you been?
In the last couple of weeks, been kind of crazy.
What do you mean crazy?
Oh, poking and prodding, getting ready for my operation tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Is this the stinger?
Yeah, the zapper.
Yeah.
Now explain what they're going to do to you.
They're going to put the spinal cord stimulator in.
Okay. I thought you had
that big.
I thought you had a temporary one.
I did have temporary one at Christmas time, yeah.
And it didn't work.
No, it worked.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked. It was just temporary. It was for only a week to see if it would work.
And did it stop the pain?
So I've been pushing it off because I had stuff to do, and then I had to get it done, or the insurance wasn't gonna stick with me on it.
Is this an in and out procedure, or is it you stay overnight in the hospital, or?
No, it should be it's a 2-hour procedure. And then I go home if everything goes good.
Yeah.
And then I'm laid up for about 6 weeks.
What do you mean laid up?
Well, they won't let me drive. I can't lift nothing over 5 pounds.
Can you sit in front of a microphone and talk to us?
Yeah. Well, if I'm in a good mood. I'm gonna be one grumpy son of a bitch, I'll tell you that.
Well, we don't mind that.
You just push the button and
you're allowed to be grumpy, and you know why you're allowed to be grumpy? You've got a beard.
Yeah.
And all grumpy people have beards.
Or throw food in and leave.
6 weeks. Wow.
Raw meat.
Well, I mean, a lot of these recoveries are long. You know, I mean, Marjorie's recovery. She had to wear the brace for like about 12 weeks. 12 weeks.
I've been doing a lot of research on the thing, and from what I've seen is they don't even turn it on for a week or so, about 14 days, because it gets put into your back there, and the pocket has to seal up, and the battery charger that they have that goes with it is like a wireless, like your phone wireless charger. It's a pad, and you have to sit on it, and they don't turn that on because you have staples, and that'll zap you, I guess.
Okay, so they got to wait for everything to settle down.
They got to wait for that to heal up, and then they program it.
Take the staples out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then they program the thing about a week or so later with all the programs.
And what should the sum total of this be? Relief of pain?
Yeah, it's relieves the pain in my legs. It's the nerve pain mostly. It's supposed to help with the neuropathy, and that's what it did do. I was getting terrible shooters. I went down to my daughter's high school orientation tonight. My legs started shooting all over the place tonight.
Is this a similar thing that they use for like guys with Parkinson's disease to stop the tremors?
Yeah, it can be, I guess. But it's like, you know, like the TENS units?
Yeah.
It's the opposite of that. You know how you feel the tingling?
Yeah.
That's a low frequency signal. This is the opposite. It's high frequency. You don't feel it. So it's kind of cool. Super high frequency. It's the only FDA approved device that they have on the market.
So how much is this going to cost your insurance company?
Well, I did it in December, and I haven't seen a bill yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I don't know about the insurance company, but
now what insurance do you have? You're not Medicare. You're not Medicare yet, are you?
Secondary, yeah. I got insurance and secondary Medicare.
Oh, secondary Medicare. What do you mean secondary Medicare?
Well, my wife, I'm on her insurance.
Yes. Okay, I understand. I had that when I was at Sirius. I had Medicare, but because I was with a company that had over 10 people, it was my primary, and then Medicare became my secondary.
Same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it covers quite a bit.
Yeah, this week I've got to go in and sign up for Medicare.
Really?
Yeah,
I thought
my birthday's in June.
Let me say this to you, Phil.
Yeah.
Do not sign up for Medicare because you don't believe in it. You don't think it should exist.
I pay for it, and I pay for.
No, Phil. Consider that a charitable contribution.
Stand very much for your
stand by what you believe, Phil.
Now it's entitlement. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for your generosity. Yeah, well,
no, I mean, stand by your president. He wants to kill Medicare.
Yeah, he's going to be cutting it anyway, so you might as well just stop now.
Yeah.
That's a promise. True. Didn't he make the promise he wouldn't touch those things?
Yes, he did.
He sure did.
We'll see. That's a promise not kept, Phil.
Yeah, he kept all those other promises.
Well, he's never going to. That's never going to pass in the budget.
I get 100. With the Kaiser deal, you're sick, they take care of you. You pay them their extra.
Yeah, but you pay $1,100 a month for that.
That's because I'm not on Medicare yet. Their Medicare deal is $99 a month.
Really?
On top of whatever you pay through Medicare.
Yeah.
What
is it? For Marjorie and I, our supplemental, it costs us about $500 every 3 months.
Okay, for the two of you.
For the two of us, yeah.
Yeah.
Or it would only if it was only one of us.
That's like $75 a month per person.
Yeah. But we get everything. We get dental, we get pharmaceuticals, we get a whole bunch of stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, I didn't belong to SAG-AFTRA, so I'm going to end up with.
You have to have a secondary, and my secondary is like secondary to none. I mean, it's really amazing that I thank God.
Kaiser, I guess, handles the secondary as well.
Yeah. Well,
you do that because you're both over 65.
Who?
Alex.
We're both over 65, but
because your wife works.
Yeah, but the secondary that I have, she has Medicare, but she's in an office with less than 10 people.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And then my secondary, SAG-AFTRA kept sending me these things for the last couple of years. Try our health, you can do our health thing under the senior thing. And I never paid attention to it because I didn't think I qualified because I didn't have enough time that I spent working AFTRA jobs. And they said, oh, no, the fact that you've been a member of AFTRA and now you're a senior, this can be your secondary. And how much is it? Well, it's $2,000 a year. I said, we said $2,000 a year, and then Marjorie said to her bosses, "We're paying $20,000 a year for you to insure me as having secondary here. Well, how would you like it if I lowered it to $2,000?" And they said, "We'll pay it." And it is the best medical insurance I've ever had.
Even
bar
if
none.
They just pay it and a little bit more to cover the taxes and treat it as income to you.
My medical for pharmacy, my medical went down from. I'm now paying every 3 months what I used to pay for 1 month for all my drugs. Tell me that isn't a saving. I mean, it's amazing, just amazing. God bless AFTRA. God bless you, SAG.
I'm just pissed that they put us on all these drugs. Every time I turn around, they're giving me one additional drug or they're adding to what I got. And there's got to be something wrong with this picture.
Well, that's what I'm hoping this is going to nail.
I come home with this big bag because it's 3 months, so they make up 3 months worth of each drug I take. And I take about 7 of them. And I come home, it's like I'm this big bag of pills rattling,
Yeah, I just have them send it to me, because Kaiser they'll send it to you, and they discount the pills.
I remember when I only used to take 1 pill, and it was LSD. Now I've got 2 for my prostate. And I just had to get a re-upping of my prior authorization on my Cialis. I got a few other things. You do the statin I take and the thyroid and a couple other things. I don't know.
Between my supplements and the things that they prescribe,
Yeah.
I'm taking 19 pills a day.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You're rattling around?
Yeah.
But a lot of those,
like
some
a
of
pill
the
bottle when you jump.
Some of those
Yeah,
are.
my mail lady thinks she's got a mariachi band out there with the mail.
I take 11 pills a day.
Wow.
You
Really?
take how many?
11.
Really?
Well, some of mine are supplements for, they're not medically medical pills.
That's the job of the AMA is to get everybody hooked on drugs.
The thing
the
thing I'm still taking is Enzebia. It's called something like that. Enzebia. I can't remember the name of it.
That's why they don't cover any alternative medicine. You can't go to any of the wellness clinics and use your medical benefits. That's all the AMA stopping that.
Yeah.
The AMA sucks.
Yes. And and that all they do is they put these Band-Aids on for the for the diabetes. They give you metformin. Now I'm reading that metformin is so bad for you that huh? What, Charlie?
I said thanks. I've been taking it for about 12 years.
I've been taking it for 4 or 5 now, and I take 2,000 milligrams a day.
Yeah, they got you. They got us all on pills. The government wants you on pills. The AMA wants you on pills.
I got to tell you, the problem is that we're the only country in the world, I think, that allows advertising on television for drugs.
2 countries.
2 countries?
New Zealand and the U.S.
New Zealand and the U.S. And
speaking of that, have you seen the latest one?
What's that?
Oh, the IUD. They're dancing around a farmer's market with an IUD in her finger. What's it called? A Kohler guard or something? No, not that's the
thing you shit into.
One. They got a whole bunch of people dancing around in a farmer's market, and she's got I got the IUD pinching it between her finger, and a couple of kids are there, and they're dancing in the farmer's market. And
Hey,
the kids
there-
disappear.
there's a
I'm
commercial.
going, what the fuck?
There's a commercial I really hate. It's these little bears, and there's a pair of underwear on the floor, and nobody wants to pick it up. And he says his hiney is clean.
Oh yeah.
Because of the toilet paper.
I often then we're going to have to go here shortly. But this one ad, and I mentioned this to Ronnie, that bothered me, was the ad for if you got cancer, you take this pill and it says extend your life. And if you look at the little writing on the bottom, it says may extend your life by 3 months. And then I went and checked to see how much this shit costs. $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
To live 3 more months? What?
The grandkids don't need the money.
The grandkids don't need the money. Yeah, mom and
dad.
dad.
Their college fund.
Tonight I saw the wackiest of these ads. They started out with bent vegetables, like a bent carrot.
For the dick?
A bent carrot and a bent pickle. And it talks about if you have a problem, yet your erection is bent, that you can go and get help.
Oh yeah, that was the other.
Oh, that's Peyronie's disease.
Peyronie's,
that was the other.
Isn't that building in Kuala Lumpur?
They have a pill for Peyronie's now.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Oh boy.
It's called this one. This one is it's Paragard. That's the IUD one. Paragard.
Paragard.
Spell it out.
I'll have to.
Paragard.
I have to go look for those ads. I haven't seen them yet. Anyway, hey, listen.
The one you're talking about, Rob. I got to sit there, and my daughter's sitting in the other chair.
I know. I can only imagine.
I think tonight is a real record. We've only, with Phil here, we have only mentioned Trump in passing. We have not even talked about him. So,
I told you it'll end up being a no Trump zone.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
Oh, that's your thing?
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. Hey, well, good luck. Good luck
with that.
And
Will
call.
it change the channels on the TV?
Yeah, and
I could probably do that. Huh?
yeah, and call us, by the way. We want to find out how it went. Okay.
Yeah.
But good luck.
A couple days. But...
We'll be thinking about you, Kevin.
Yes,
we really will.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Phil. Thank you very much, Rob Alfano. Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you, Charles Wallace. I love the Charles. And, of course, Jeff Stein. If all of you would give a big wave goodbye, then the audience at home could wave back like I'm waving right now. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. That's our citizen panel. I'm going to hang up on them here. I have to hang up on them, and I have to get offline so that Jack Bishop can use the phones next, and I hope you will call him. He's next with The Intersection. I'll be back again tomorrow night right after Damian Chaplin chats with you on The Exchange. Listen to him. It's a great little show. It comes on right before us. And then we'll be back again tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, same time. Same station and life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye.